people. My name is Ellie, and I'm 15 years old. I think you can be proud of me because recently I saved my friend's life. I mean, literally. She wouldn't have survived without my help. But we'll start at the beginning. I met Nikki when my parents and I moved to another city. We were new to the neighborhood, and Nikki and her parents were the first people to greet us. On the first day, they came over with small gifts and wanted to get acquainted with us. Oh, I thought that was a very nice gesture. A beautiful young couple who kept smiling all the time, and a shy girl who stood behind them. Isn't that sweet? We immediately became friends, and I was very glad to have a new acquaintance. Nikki helped me adapt to the city and at school. Plus, I started going to dance school with her, so I didn't feel lonely after the move. I am very grateful to her for that. We spent a lot of time together because we lived right across the street from each other, but over time, I began to notice how Nikki was so shy and insecure. Every time I asked her to go to a movie or a cafe, she refused. She always said she didn't like those places, and she especially did not like to be in large crowds. I thought she was acting like that because she was too shy to be around boys. And it was kind of strange because she was very pretty, and she could easily win the heart of any of our classmates. Anyway, I didn't push her too hard because I respected her choice, but soon her little quirk turned to rudeness. It was her birthday. That day, my classmates and I were going to throw her a surprise party. We planned it out perfectly. We could hang out at the house of one of the guys from school, and this house was just down the road from the dance studio, so she wouldn't even know where we were going until the very end. After dance, I got a message from the guys that everything was okay, and all the guests were assembled, and the gifts were prepared. All I had to do was bring Nikki to the house. So on the way home, I casually told her that I had to give something to George and that we needed to stop by his place for a second. And as soon as I rang the doorbell, the door opened and everyone cheered, "Happy birthday!" Then there was confetti, balloons, and music. Everything was perfect. Everything except Nikki's reaction. She leaned over to me and said that she needed to go home urgently and that she could not stay. Oh no, I could not let her get away this time. It was her birthday, and she didn't have to give in to her complexes to keep from having fun. I was ready to handcuff her so she would stay. The party started. Everyone congratulated Nikki and gave her her gifts, but she was getting more nervous by the minute. I swear, after an hour, I thought she would just completely lose it. So at one point, she told me she needed to go to the bathroom and left. But after 15 minutes, she didn't come out, and I thought maybe she was sick, so I started knocking on the door. But no one answered. I started to worry a lot, and I called George and he opened the door. But inside, we saw nothing but an open window. Yeah, Nikki had run away from her own party. You know, this wasn't okay anymore. It was rude and disrespectful. My friends and I had put a lot of work into planning the surprise party for her, and she didn't care. Can you imagine? Her parents were golden role models. They were always friendly and polite to us. How could they raise a daughter who acted like this? Anyway, I got angry with Nikki, and I decided to not talk to her until she explained herself. But even a week later, there's no word from her. She didn't even show up at school. Someone said she was sick or something. Yeah, I didn't believe it. I thought she was just ashamed of what she had done and that she didn't want to be seen. But soon, Nikki and her parents showed up at our door, and she asked me to forgive her for what she had done. Of course, I couldn't say no to her in front of our parents. And we made up, especially since she was looking very sad, and I knew that she was sorry for what she had done. But she never told me why she did it, and that was what really bothered me. A few weeks later, Nikki came to me with a very unusual request. She asked me to lend her money. The fact is, we had a trip to New York planned at school, and her parents were having temporary difficulties at work, and they could not afford to pay for this trip for her. But Nikki really wanted to go and make amends to me and my classmates for ruining her party that night. Without hesitation, I agreed to help her. After all, she was my friend. Then it was time to go. Oh, it was so great! We were together in the capital of the world, and we were free to do anything we wanted. I mean, when the teachers weren't watching us. I have to say, Nikki suddenly transformed during this trip. She dropped her complexes and became more open and cheerful. I even saw her flirting with one of our classmates. Oh yes, I like this Nikki. But the trip ended, and we spent the last night in our hotel before leaving. Our things were packed, and we should have had a good night's sleep. But in the middle of the night, I was awakened by a rustle. It was Nikki, and she was dressed and about to leave. I was confused. Did she want to escape? No, that was too dangerous. I wanted to go get the teacher to stop her, but Nikki begged me not to do this. She really needed to leave. And when she told me why, I understood everything. Nikki couldn't stand living with her parents anymore. The week after her birthday, when she was supposedly sick, it was actually hell for her. Her parents are parenting psychos, and when she was late coming home from dance class, they punished her by putting her under house arrest. But she wasn't just sitting in her room, she was in the basement. As Nikki said, she'd been punished that way since she was a child. Nikki was never allowed to go out for too long because if she was late, she would be punished. That's why she always refused to hang out with friends. Shyness had nothing to do with it. After one of these punishments, she even called the police, but there was no way she could prove she wasn't lying. Her parents had a perfect reputation, and all the neighbors spoke very warmly of them. So the police thought it was just a little girl's whim. After that, she had to sit in the basement again. Her parents barely let her go on this trip and gave her the condition that she had to earn the money for it herself. And this trip was the perfect time to escape. She had all the necessary things with her, and her grandmother didn't live too far away from New York. Wow, this was horrible. It was hard to believe, but it affected me to the core. So I let her go and wished her luck. Of course, she was found to be missing in the morning, and her disappearance was a complete shock to everyone. I told everyone that I was too sound asleep to hear her run away. Our teachers alerted the police to be on the lookout for Nikki. Meanwhile, our entire class was sent home. In my heart, I was glad my friend had escaped. But the story was not over yet. The next day, I was at home alone when I heard the doorbell ring. It was Nikki's parents, and they didn't look the same. Their friendly smile was gone from their faces, and they were just furious. They shouted at me and demanded that I tell them where she had gone. My God, I never thought these people could behave like that. They were really crazy, and Nikki was right. But at that moment, I could not contain their crazy onslaught. They just made me cry, and I told them where she was going. I was so sorry, and I didn't do it on purpose. The next day, I saw a car drive up to the neighbor's house, and Nikki's parents got out, and then Nikki herself. She looked awful. It was obvious that she was crying, and it looked really creepy against the background of her smiling parents. At that moment, I knew that nothing good was going to happen in that house. Most likely, Nikki would be punished, only this time much stronger than the last. I was nervous, and I began to think about what I could do to help her. I almost bit all my nails off in fear, but then an idea came to me. I had to get proof of her parents' cruelty. It was the only way to get Nikki out of this hell. So as soon as it got dark outside, I picked up my phone and quietly crept up to her house. I walked around it, and I saw the only window that was in the basement. There were lights and shadows moving. Then I turned on my camera and quietly crawled toward the window. What I saw at that moment was the worst thing in my life. I caught the exact moment that her crazy parents were yelling at her, then left her in the basement and walked away slamming the door. As soon as I got all the footage I needed, I ran away and called 911. Then the police arrived. I ran up to the officer and immediately showed them the video. Then it was like a movie. I was scared to even look at what happened next. They broke into the house and arrested Nikki's parents. Now they had no chance to escape punishment. They would have to answer to the authorities for their cruelty and for the pain they caused my friend. How could I not have guessed this before? That hypocritical smile with which they always spoke to their neighbors betrayed their madness. Phew. Thank God it was over and Nikki was safe. Now these horrible people are going to be tried, and I hope they will go to prison for a long time. Nikki will have guardians now, and I hope she's doing well. I'm glad I was able to help her, but I'm also sorry that so many bad things happened to her that she didn't deserve. This is the end of my story. Yes, it is terrible that people like this live among us. So please be attentive to your friends, and don't forget to share this video to alert your loved ones.